Republicans do have some influence, and a lot of them are starting to realize that they want to shut down everybody except for the opposition. So what I'm saying to you is that this was a really important step. This was the right thing for us to do to get behind Trump. None of the other candidates would have done half of what Trump did, and he didn't. They would have done anything, but at least he voiced these issues, and that's the change. It's the subtle change in terms of the idea that telling people we can win, we can fight, we can work, we can talk, we're gonna speak radically, and we're gonna speak openly. And he even didn't speak the right way radically sometimes, but at least he spoke his mind, and he taught people to speak their minds. So I say that there is a milieu change in the world, and I'm looking to Europe, and I believe that there's going to be a country in Europe that's going to become straight out. Italy might be that already, but I think there's more countries, and I think Europe's going to go like dominoes toward our point of view. That's what I believe is going to happen, and I believe that that's also going to spread to here. I think there's going to be huge separationist movements in the United States. I think there's going to be huge turmoils. There's going to be riots in the streets. I think we're going to make the yellow vest look like a Tea Party. You know, it's like, I believe that there's going to be a lot of dislocation, and I believe that never before have white people become more the realization that this is a struggle for our very existence and the freedom of our kids and our future than any other struggle we've ever been in. And this wouldn't be here right now. This was energized by the Trump victory and even the Trump presidency, because just every day he says something that these Jews don't like, you know, and it's like, and the people in Europe take it and say, man, yeah, we got it, and they really are growing. And by the way, you know this. I mean, you're young people. I scan the internet all the time. I look at the conversations. There are more people right now who are more racially aware in my country, in your country, in our countries of Europe right now than, say, maybe 100 years ago.
Before. Even I would say 60 years ago. I mean, we're all pretty big fans of George Lincoln Rockwell, and I can't imagine what it must have been like to have been him in such a small movement. And I would like to say also Arnell, I think, had a question that he wanted to get to. I'd like to get him to ask that. But it's great that we have more. We are more in numbers than ever in the last century, I think, at this point. So that is a white pill. That is something
and growing like crazy. And I've got one more little white pill for you before we go to Arnell's question, but I think you'll enjoy this. There's a very good video done by Black Pill the other day about how you can, how you can destroy conformity, how you can stop the conformity. And they were talking about a study that was done a few years ago where they have, and they bring in a particular person. They're trying to test the psychology of a group association. And so they bring in a person, he doesn't know it, but the other three people in the group are all part of the researchers, right? So they show all four of them a picture of a line, a very clear diagram of a line this big. And then they show you three lines, on the right side. And they say, which of these lines on the right is most like the line on the left? And the interesting thing is, so three of the people, other than the subject that they're trying to see the influence of this, the three of the other people, they're all shills, right? And so they all pick a different line that's obviously a different size. And 37% of the time, those subjects they put in that catbird seat there to decide which line is closer, 37% of the time, they go with the people that the other three people, rather than their own awareness, their own vision, their own judgment. And the interesting thing is, too, that when they, and this is very fascinating, then they'll take a subject, right? And they'll put them in there, and they'll have three people that are theirs, but they'll have two people that will say the line. Then they have one person, just one person stands and says, no, this is the right line. And when they do that, the compliance with the majority goes down to 5%. So what it's all about is that when you challenge, I mean, there's no question about the fact that people, we have the ability now to really challenge. They're going to get more than one person. They're going to get a lot of people. and they're getting friends and they're getting families. This is becoming exponential. This is becoming like a tsunami. And what's happening is when they have these media-induced opinions and these conclusions and these ideologies, that now there's people out there that are going to say, hey, man, that's not true. These aliens are something. Just like the girls from Scandinavia, they got beheaded, right?
Yep.
And they said, well, we're going to, if you show this video, then you're going to go to jail forever, right? Because they, even though I don't want people to see that video either, it destroys your soul to see these kind of things. But these videos, what it does is it breaks down all the brainwashing, because they can say all they want to, that, oh, everybody's the same and these people are just the same as us and all that. But when you see some girl getting her head sawed off while she's screaming in agony by these non-whites in North Africa, it affects people. It breaks that conformity. And this is what's happening on a massive basis. And even though they're trying to shut down the internet, which they're trying to do, there's now so many ways to communicate. I mean, we have...
Well, that's true, and it's been ramping up even since Trump has got elected, and it's affecting really his base. His base and people on the dissident right are the ones that are suffering the most from it. And
we're growing now. We're still growing.
Yeah, but at some point, that's another thing, man. Like, there's something that he should actually do about it.
He should do it. That's one of the things.
We're beating this horse to death. Come on,
we should
guys.
pressure him to do that, and we should.
Well, it's just like I said. Like I know, I mean, I'm beating it to death because it's important, man. Like, it's one thing to sit there and.
But let me tell you, we're going to win this battle. I'm just telling you, we're going to win, because right now they can't really stop people emailing each other. They can't stop some site and they could download a video. You can take a $500 camera now and do a better video or documentary than you could do by studios.
Well, we could say that you can make the argument that maybe shutting us down could be another catalyst for us.
Well, in history,
I think it would force people to kind of just take to the street.
But there's always going to be a technological way around that. Do you know who you're young guys, you know who Dr. William Shockley was? Y'all familiar with him?
I'm not personally. I don't know if the other guys
Dr.
are.
Shockley was the most important scientist. You don't hear about him because he was one of us. He said that he said he won the Nobel Prize. He invented the transistor. He's the guy that started Shockley Semiconductor, the first semiconductor. He started Silicon Valley.
Right at the ground floor of Silicon Valley, right?
Yeah, he basically did it. The transistor was basically a form of the silicon chip, and then he did the silicon chip. And that's what caused this revolution, which enables us to communicate. For you to do your show right now was made possible by the groundwork of Dr. Shockley. And I knew Dr. Shockley personally. He contacted me. I was very well known back in those days, and he was well known. And he started going around the country preaching about the fact that race was the most important critical factor of all, that if we lost our race in our country with the immigration and other issues, and this was the 1960s and 70s, he said, if that happened, then we were going to lose America and we were going to lose Western civilization. Well, I got to know Dr. Shockley. I talked to him many, many times personally. Again, I've had an interesting life. And it's like I'm talking to him on the phone and he's dying. And he was only about a month from his death. And I was able to talk to him. And I've talked to him many times. But in this conversation, I said to Dr. Shockley, I said, look, and he was very disappointed because he was so attacked and so viciously hurt. This Nobel Prize, he was the most famous American scientist at the time. And he felt like it was a failure because people didn't latch on to his ideas about race. And I said to him, Dr. Shockley, you don't understand. Because you could see it by the time he died, that your invention is going to make possible our salvation, our revolution. And right now, there's always a way to share things electronically and to get around the censorship. There's always going to be a way from the brilliant minds in our cause. And Jews are only 0.1% of the population of the world. They're in key positions. But let me tell you, there's 99.9% that don't want this kind of control. And there's going to be people working to break through and to go through and create different mediums. And the internet is so dislocated and it's so independent, which was originally invented for, that it's going to be very difficult for them to stop this revolution that's going on around the world. I think we're on the way to victory. I don't think we're at the end of our rope. I think, we're ready to make the gallows for the traitors that have betrayed our country. I think we're getting very close to that point.
Well, let's hope so. And yeah, Arnell. Let's
All
get
right.
Arnell on.
Thank you. Hey, I almost fell asleep.
Look, I'm the old guy.
Yeah.